we have Puppypaw and MarineLorD. These two, I feel like this is the Clash of Titans recently. Puppypaw is an absolute monster recently. But MarineLorD, he's shown some weaknesses over the last few months. And we'll see if Puppypaw is going to be able to take him down. Because yesterday, Puppypaw might have looked perfect today. But yesterday, Boltoon gave us a little insight on Puppypaw maybe having some weaknesses.
Indeed, Boltoon started in stunning fashion up against Puppypaw yesterday, up 2-0 before getting a reverse sweep, which, I mean, even then of itself is an incredible result for Boltoon. Very well done indeed. But it does show that Puppypaw, despite this previous series, does indeed have chinks in his armor that can be exploited, and someone like MarineLorD is definitely going to look to exploit those. Looking at the head-to-head between these two, now 2024 was a very interesting year for AoE4 because that is the year where MarineLorD's sort of reign of dominance first really started crumbling, and it was Puppypaw that spearheaded that effort. That is, of course, when the last Red Bull Wololo was as well, where they met in the finals there, despite MarineLorD, of course, being invited to it. And unfortunately for Puppypaw, that was not the day that he toppled MarineLorD. MarineLorD took him down 3-0. But once again, they meet. Now, ever since then, it hasn't looked great, I won't lie. MarineLorD is currently on a 6-series streak winning against Puppypaw. Now, Puppypaw has won a total of 3 games in these 6 series, which doesn't bode very well. But anything can happen, right? You know, when Puppypaw first defeated MarineLorD, he was on a 8-series loss streak when he first broke him. So, you know, it can happen again here today, and in a best of 7, there's plenty of opportunity for that to happen, because MarineLorD recently, right, he's not looked as dominant as he has before. He's struggling a little bit more and more than he has before. Players are catching up to his level. Maybe he's not improving at the rate that he would like. But really, it's an incredibly exciting series.
Now, and also, we have to keep in mind, just because MarineLorD did not win the last EGC tournament, doesn't mean, like most people, you're like, oh, they lose 1. Oh my goodness, they're washed. MarineLorD's the opposite of washed. This man may have just gotten a rude awakening and is like, let me just fix this and get back on EGC's #1 list. So, yeah, let's take a quick look at the drafts, though. We have Dry Arabia first, and I want to take a moment to look at the civilizations. We can talk about the maps at a different time, but we have a Japan ban for Puppypaw being prioritized, and Ottomans, and while MarineLorD says Ottomans and Byzantines, we saw the power of Byzantines today. So I can see why this is a priority. But at the same time, we haven't seen the power of Ottomans in a long time because everyone says, nah, that thing's not being allowed in my games, especially not with maps like Frisian Marshes on the roster.
Yeah, Ottomans is just disgusting, frankly. That civ should not see the light of any game until they're changed. It's just so strong on every level, and they just defy the game's rules, frankly, so no surprise to see a unanimous ban across the board. I think every single series we've had so far in this tournament, I think they are first ban, if I'm not mistaken. Deserved, honestly, deserved. And but after that, things open up a lot, right? After that, there's about 4 civs that, depending who you ask, they're going to give you a different answer on what's best. And we already have the difference showing up here, right? MarineLorD taking Byzantines has been banned away from him, I think, is the way it works. It's always confusing with the bans. I think that's the case. And then he takes away Japanese from Puppypaw, but then opts to first pick Chinese. Puppypaw taking the Malians, following up with the French, Jushi, as well as Mongols. MarineLorD has rounded out his draft with Ayyubids, Tughlaq, Delhi, as well as Macedonians, banning out, being removed Sengoku from him. And Byzantines has also been removed from Puppypaw. So, surprisingly, actually, Puppypaw does not opt for Sengoku as his final pick. Instead, he opts for Lancaster, which I'm also surprised hasn't been picked by either of them.
Well, in this case, Lancaster, we saw it being constantly banned at lower ranks. But now, Puppypaw and them not even prioritizing it here. And this kind of makes sense. I mean, I see Delhi and I'm like, does it make sense? at the same time, we have to look at MarineLorD's picks here. Going for China, Ayubit, and Taklak, completely solid picks. China being first pick, I get it, MarineLorD. You're really good with this. And I mean, China is just good in general. It's a great all-around civilization. Ayubit, it has a lot of maps where it's pretty viable. Taklak, we've seen a little bit of shenanigans on any dot of blue that we might spot on this map. So Frisian, Marshes, and Kawasan, viable picks all around. Now, Macedonians, we've seen what he can do. Macedonians is not something that MarineLorD would give away for another civilization. But Puppypaw, feeling like Malians, first pick, I know a lot of players are just saying, Malians, it needs to be Bando picked. It's not a civ that you can let through. And we saw that earlier today as well. Malians is looking fantastic. French as well. You have a civilization with the cavalry meta right now. It is a good response to most of what you have. It's also a good response to a lot what MarineLorD has picked here. So Lancaster, I can see why it's not first on that whole roster of, hey, I need this. Definitely showing that there are more viable ones out there.
Exactly, and towards the end, really, you see the draft opening up quite a lot. I mean, Golden Horde, English being picked up by Puppy as well as JD. He's taking both Knight civs away here from MarineLorD. MarineLorD left with Rus, for that matter. HRE and Japan making it this far in the draft just absolutely blows my mind as well. Honestly, I didn't even see that. Because it was banned. My mistake. It was banned away from Puppypaw, so of course he can wait to pick it. And we're looking now to see the very last picks for these players. Abbasid is going to be picked up for MarineLorD, and Sengoku, of course, for Puppypaw, and that makes complete sense there. So, looking at these two drafts,
Where's Katie?
tough one.
On the water? We saw in the qualification. Everyone was like, oh, there's water, I'm getting KT, don't you worry. But all of a sudden, these two top players are like, KT who? KT who? So neither of them prioritizing it at all.
Yeah, here's the problem with KT and the way this was. KT is actually really good on Frisian. Really, really good.
Okay.
Problem is, that's the only map it's good on. And you're not guaranteed to be able to pick KT as we talk with MarineLorD because of the snipe system. So picking a civ that's really good on a map is not even the best, but picking a civ that's good on a map and there's a decent chance you won't even get to play it on that map and then you can't pick it anywhere else, doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So it's not going to be a case. And it's a similar thing for OTD here as well. OTD can be okay on some of these maps. It's something like Holy Island was in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, but that's not the case. Holy Island has been banned out, so no OTD either. It's a very similar case there as well. There's just better choices.
Makes a lot of sense. I love the fact that Puppypaw got to save that Sengoku pick for last as well, because Golden Horde being picked away. Golden Horde. I mean, after watching Golden Horde in action, I am surprised it's not a higher prio. But now you have to ask yourself, is Golden Horde only viable on a few maps where they can't get punished so easily, such as Hillendale? So I feel like we have a lot of good civs right now. And getting into a meta where now cavalry is pretty dominant, but at the same time, they're telling us there's a lot of viability. And then you get people like May on the ladder, who's just absolutely dominating with Delhi. And you ask yourself, do I need to learn more than one? These guys say there's more than enough out there, but they have sniped and they have chosen exactly what is going to be first on Dry Arabia. And I'm surprised the choice was Abbasid in China for MarineLorD. Can you talk me through this? Are we blind?
I don't know.
Abbasid.
I don't know what I'm seeing. Like, and English. What? Okay. So we have China and Abbasid being picked by MarineLorD. Puppypaw naturally snipes Abba, right? You don't want to face
Obviously.
Abba instead of China, yeah, of course. And then we have French English being picked by Puppypaw. And the MarineLorD sees English and he starts shaking in his boots. And he'd rather face French for some reason. I don't know, I think they're trolling us, to be honest.
No, no, guys, you might be like, oh, they're laughing at the players. No, I think both Marianne and I are sitting here absolutely confused, looking at this draft, thinking, how did English and Abbasid get sniped out of these two choices? How were they prioritized on Dry Arabia out of all of these choices? And I have no idea, Marianne. I feel like the fact that you're laughing at this makes me feel a lot better at my game knowledge too. So I'm really hope that our Kong3 Twitch chat that knows everything has the real answer to this. But after watching the drafts from all of these players for so many weeks, I think most players are watching this thinking, what just happened?
Frankly, it doesn't make much sense to me whatsoever. Like I don't really understand, if I'm being honest, but I'm very excited to see what it results in. Because, I mean, it's a spicy matchup that it results in, so that's good for us. That's going to be entertaining, and it's a good one, right? We have an economic defensive powerhouse in the form of the Chinese against arguably the best aggressive civ in the game in the form of the French on Dry Arabia, of all maps. A fitting one indeed. So, looking forward to seeing that. But what are these snipes and picks, man? Like, I don't know. Like, my only guess is because Abbasid is so strong defensively and MarineLorD is an excellent defensive player, Puppypaw might think, well, you know, it also does well against French, it outbooms English, so maybe there's more of a vulnerability to China, which I'm not sure I agree with, but I see the point. And English, I don't know, maybe MarineLorD is as scared of the English as, you know, as new players are,
So when I think about MarineLorD's tier list, I wish we had the tier list to bring up here so we could see exactly what was going through. Oh, and I just got word that there might be something popping up on the screen. But MarineLorD, for those of you who don't know, he made a tier list on YouTube recently. And you might be thinking, MarineLorD making a tier list right in front of a big playoff like this? That feels pretty telling. And was he honest? But we'll see what he ranked English as and see how that one looks.
Yeah, it's worth noting when that little tier list does pop up, it's strictly for land maps, I believe it was said. So that is a notable thing. That doesn't necessarily dictate their priority in a draft like this, of course, but it still gives us a good indication of MarineLorD's opinions, as well as how much he wants to throw people off, as we have it here. So you can see, you know, yeah. So I think there might be a cook.
This might be right there to throw people off. He made this tier list so that people would not know exactly what he's cooking for this qualification. You see him prioritizing a Tuck pick as well. See, this is confusing MarineLorD. And I think that was the intention. He prioritized picks that you would, from this tier list, you would not have said that would be on the list at all. I'm so confused. I'm thrown off. But one thing's for certain. The A tier picks was pretty accurate for him anyway. So those definitely got prioritized, except for Lancaster.
Oh yeah. And what took luck I get, because it's just it's really good on hybrid and that's it. But the rest are, I don't know. I think they're just making fun of us at this point, if I'm honest, Whammon. I don't know who to trust anymore, who to believe in. It's getting quite difficult, but yeah, here we are, and we end up with French against Chinese on Dry Arabia, and it's a very, very, very exciting matchup, I think so.
It is, because you have two civs that are great at scaling and that they don't have the usual pressure on, they have the pressure on each other that they usually do so well against other civs. Like, for example, China has a civ that does great if they want a pro scout. French does great if they want a pro scout. Both of these very great pro scouting civilizations. But I know that was bad. I just got called out by Cal about how bad that was, but it came from the inside. And maybe that is just what this game is going to tell us as well. The bans threw me off, guys. I plead innocence here. So, unfortunately, I think that French might just do this a little bit better. big thing though. Maybe Puppypaw picked this away from MarineLorD because we have seen him on French. Home civilization wins every time.
There could be a point made for that, and you'd expect these picks in reverse normally, wouldn't you? Because MarineLorD's French, so he would pick French, right? Naturally. But Puppypaw, you know, China has been his signature for a very, very long time now, and MarineLorD took that away from him instead, and Puppypaw takes the French as a second pick, which is quite high priority for French. I mean, French is very, very strong, but normally we see third or fourth or so, not second usually. But Puppypaw taking them nice and early here. And just 2 minutes until the game gets underway here for now. But what would we see after this naturally? I mean, MarineLorD strikes me as the type of guy to pick Bold Land as the map after this if he loses. Whereas Puppypaw would pick Front Range.
See,
that's my prediction.
Puppypaw, that's some pretty... That's some predictions right there. I feel like MarineLorD has shown us Boldland is a very safe place for him to wait in. This man, you know, sort of expose those little wood lines. You think you have a wood line, you think you have villagers chopping wood, they're all dead. Because MarineLorD has arrived, he has a knight right in your base. But this time, he doesn't have the same type of knight civilization to handle that with. Yes, we've got a Japan there, and honestly, now that I look at it, I'm actually quite surprised that Japan didn't get banned out, but apparently Sengoku, it needed priority here. So MarineLorD, it doesn't have the same answers to what we usually see on Boldland. You also have Delhi, which we've seen a lot of players pull out as well. But front range, Puppypaw is a very happy boy going out onto the board, but MarineLorD is exactly the same. See, if we get into a matchup like that, I want to see Dark Age fighting because Front Range has given us the pleasure of being the best level of entertainment in the Dark Age.
Yeah, that's a possibility, isn't it? It's always so hard to predict in these cases. I mean, because I feel like oftentimes a win or a loss impacts what kind of map you would want to go into next after your next loss or win, right? You maybe change your mind as to what you want to go into. So who knows what we're going to see. But the game is now underway. At long last, the MarineLorD in the color red, as the Chinese spawning the north side of Dry Arabia, is going to go for the house opening here with the Chinese. So quick time feudal age and no efficiency from that village just yet. Puppypaw on the other hand, in the color yellow as the French spawning in the south side of Dry Arabia here. And he's going to go for directly the gold. So no mill for that wheelbarrow just yet.
That's interesting to watch because for a lot of players, that's one of the first things they do. The other thing that I'd like to mention is that Puppypaw... Oh, now Puppypaw's moving to the Dia. I was about to say, if this was MarineLorD on that side, he would instantly move out to the Dia. But, of course, you need to scout the Dia first. So, fun fact about that. And that's exactly what Puppypaw now has done. So, Puppypaw's staying on the sheep there. I was a little worried for a second, but he just wanted to adjust himself and find that Dia pack to be able to do so. Now, what I want to take a moment at here is I want to diagnose each of these players with a spawn. Who has the MarineLorD spawn? And when I look at this, I feel like Puppypaw is the one with the MarineLorD spawn. He has a pretty easy area to wall off to secure the whole backside of that base, while MarineLorD is the one out on the open. And if a knight arrives, things are going to get very hairy, because you can see both Dia packs being on the same side as well. This just means that Puppypaw has to secure one single side, and at the same time, MarineLorD can say the same. I just need to secure one side and I'm good. But for China, that is a little bit harder than for the French player.
Yeah, spawns is always a very interesting discussion, I think, because the spawn, it does matter where exactly the resources are positioned, of course, in relation to your enemy. So we have a forward secondary Dia pack here for MarineLorD, for instance. But it also affects you in the sense that depending on whether the left or the right side is more resource rich and in terms of what resources they are, it heavily impacts the way you want to lay out your base and how to expand it. For instance, we see MarineLorD, right? His northern corner and towards the right side of his map is very resource rich, right? And he has a very natural double wood line there to serve as the wall towards the southwestern side. So that corner there for MarineLorD is likely going to be pretty much his entirety of the base, and I'd be very surprised to see him go anywhere near the left side of the map for the first 20 minutes even, right? There's just nothing there for him. There's his third gold, which is actually technically a second gold, but obviously the one in the north, the third one in this case, is actually even safer because it's in the corner. So, whereas for Puppypaw, right, again, his corner is very resource rich. His right side is pretty barren, really. The only thing that is there is that second deer pack, which is a bit annoying for him because he definitely wants to go for that, but he also has the boar on the left. So this impacts the way, obviously it's very different on different maps, and this impacts not only where you're likely to get struck from by your opponent, but where you want to pivot to as well.
Well, the spawn of Puppypaw puts him in a position where he doesn't even need to think about pro scouts. That's the one thing about China versus French. Both of these civs do well as pro scouting civs, but Puppypaw has the luxury of deciding if he wants to go that way, if he just wants to invest the resources in getting, rather, units to try and deny this from MarineLorD. So I love this for Puppypaw spawn. I think he's in a pretty good spot to have that safe deer all to himself. But, of course, deer doesn't last forever. Now, with the 3 still there on gold, we do see a little bit of gold floating, but it should be enough for our knight and for a very smart decision, because Puppy can only make smart decisions from here on out. He's a goat. Or potential goat.
As the Imperial officials run out of that academy to start collecting taxes, that is what they do best, and they are here to do it. And prioritizing these officials is very, very good here for the Chinese. They are cheaper, and you don't have to sacrifice villages to make them like the Jushi. So this is gonna make wonders for MarineLorD's economy here early on, allow him to get out those spears to contest these early knights. And this is the strength of keeping professional scouts here for Puppypaw, because he can just keep swelling these knight numbers. And as we talked about earlier, that frontal deer pack, it's in this kind of a position where it can get very dangerous for MarineLorD, especially if he opens horsemen instead of spears for some reason.
He is a very brave boy, making a wall here to ensure he doesn't get raided. Of course, he knows the power of a good night rush, but at the same time, he's now just going full on for the horsemen. And now, of course, this means he is still planning on doing his pro scouts, as we see that second scout now queued up, and the resources already in the bank to do so with. But at the same time, these horses are going to have a very important job, and that is to ensure the Puppypaw sends his knights elsewhere. Puppypaw, though, he's got his eyes on one thing and one thing only, and that's MarineLorD's base. Now, the spearmen are going to be coming out, but a little bit slower. Now, Puppypaw doesn't have anywhere to land just yet, but just like I said, with this, he just needs to get control of one side. The horseman, though, he's going for a kill, and he might find exactly that. Just like that. Oh, villager going down from Puppypaw. This is pretty big. This is a massive improvement of just watching a normal spearman opening against French and struggling to catch up to the knights, getting a cheap shot in here and there, but actually being the one to get the kill and get away pretty safely.
It is excellent. I was about to mention it just before we pivoted there when I saw that Puppypaw's on those there. It makes perfect sense. Just 2 horsemen here is going to be such a nuisance for Puppypaw to deal with. The knights are never going to catch up. So those horsemen will be back in a minute to harass him yet again. It might even force a tower out of Puppypaw potentially, which then delays the archers. Although with double stable, I don't think archers are on the menu anytime soon here for Puppypaw. Although, as I said, that double broadaxe is queued up, so soon enough, most likely. But yeah, that's a big annoyance there for Puppypaw. Idle time as well as down a villager. Pretty big at this point in time. Even now, MarineLorD is ahead in economy courtesy of the officials, outdoing the extra production speed of the French town centre. And now, the Pro Scouts is in, plenty of space on the field, and the deer can now be collected safely.
Now, this is not defense against French like we saw before, where spearmen are just falling. This is something that MarineLorD is using effectively. Every single unit he makes, it has a role. And 9 spears, he says, is enough. Now we go back to horsemen and we keep raiding. And this is meaning that Puppypaw, who didn't go for Pro Scouts, is now actually going to be the one who needs to be very, very careful to lose anything. Because just like that we saw earlier, he was the one who got raided. And it feels so strange to say that when you are up against the French. Now, Puppypaw also not investing in archers just means that he's not really gonna have a way to deal with the Pro Scouts. The Pro Scouts here are getting delivered pretty fast. And MarineLorD looks like he is feeling pretty confident about moving out with this. Puppypaw just making more knights.
Yeah, and there's an advantage and a disadvantage to everything you do in AoE4. Puppypaw determined to skip Pro Scouts, and now he's bearing the fruits and also paying the price for it, right? Way more knights on the field than he normally would have, but more idle time. And down a villager as well, forced to make a tower on his external deer pack. That just goes to show, you always have to consider these things, and we're going to see at the end of the game, of course, whether that paid off for him or not. And you can see those Chinese numbers swell just at a rapid pace. The supervision, the cheapness, the economy. With these deer coming in, survival techniques undoubtedly in by now as well. You can see the food income just skyrocketing for MarineLorD, close to 1,000 now. And Puppypaw has to be so careful how he moves with these knights. There are archers on the way now. Idle time has been caused on the gold. Very well done there. But with the archers now coming in on such a delay, this is the type of timing where MarineLorD might look to go for an age up as the knights get skewered and MarineLorD not quite quick enough to fully engulf them, but he does get one of them at least, and that is more than worth it. And at the same time, another one falls.
This feels pretty tough. Already, knights that don't pick up kills and are that low HP, this is not the French we're afraid of. Now, with this mass, you can see MarineLorD's feeling very confident and just going straight for the food where it's going to matter. The knights are not that great at handling these spears, and the one archer is doing his best, but those villagers, they need to run for their dear life. And that's exactly what they're doing here. There's a horseman in the mix. Won't be able to catch up, but the knights are getting skewered yet again. Staying alive, surprisingly. And that one archer is trying to make miracles happen here. But the horsemen have something to say about that.
This is just disastrous for Puppypaw. This is as worse as it can get, and he's forced to look at too many angles. Means the villagers are left behind. Wheelbarrow coming in so clutch here means that only 2 of them end up falling. Could have been way worse there for Puppypaw, but a French who's mainly playing pure knight, who is now essentially stuck in his base against a pro scouting Chinese who's halfway to castle age. It cannot get worse.
Puppypaw must be feeling a little bit shook when he thinks about the fact that he just banned Abbasid to be playing this situation. The scout bringing a little bit of deer there to Puppypaw's base. He knows Puppypaw must be starving. We saw about on the berries. The knights are now going to try and pull the army away, try to find damage of their own, because they know how many spears are already waiting here at the door. But Puppypaw says, I see your spears. I'm going to make more knights and a handful more archers. Let's see how this goes.
Puppypaw just adding a few extra horsemen here as he's floating food as opposed to gold, so might as well use that extra food for more units to tide you over in the transition period. And of course he knows there are archers on the field now, so these horsemen will be always good. I mean, the reality is that Puppypaw is so many units away from being even able to fight this army, but Castle Age is a very distant memory for him. The possibility of it even, because the Imperial Palace is on the way now for MarineLorD, and once these spearmen are upgraded, I mean, you don't even need knights here as MarineLorD, honestly. You could just save your gold, get the level 2 ranged armor, and you can even dive directly under that TC with the spears.
Now he does spot this, and he will be able to get a few shots in as the spears were not in position. He gets a little bit of a surround here, taking down a few of these spears, but he needs to find eco kills, and he cannot, because he backs off against these horses. And now the spearman upgrade, it will come in so fast, especially considering, well, the knights are finally, I was going to say getting kills, and they do get a spearman kill. One vill goes down, but again, beautiful reaction here by MarineLorD. He loses one villager to this, another one falls on the wood line, but the knights get skewered for their troubles.
Yeah, these prices are Yeah. These knights are a price that Puppypaw cannot afford to pay for any kind of idle time or damage. And behind this, disaster strikes yet again for Puppypaw, as 5 horsemen are going to find comparable, if not even more damage than all of Puppypaw's knights here, idling out the berries and picking off 4 additional villager kills. This is horrible for Puppypaw.
Oh, and Puppypaw needs these archers. He only has 11, soon to be less, of them, with now +1 attack. And +1 attack just doesn't scale that well when you don't have the numbers. Now, MarineLorD making more horses, but imagine if these were lancers too. This is the great thing about MarineLorD's composition. Oh my goodness, he finds even more damage, and MarineLorD's China, now we can see why most players do not give him time of day to play this civilization. And he's just stacking up more and more resources. We see a lot of gold in the bank too. But Horseman is the answer. And I'm honestly, this is just MarineLorD's prerogative. He gets to decide exactly where the game goes, what he needs to go for. He says horses are good enough. They can outrun these knights, and I'll just keep doing that.
When I win, it's a destruction, says MarineLorD in this game so far, as the spears are just... The number keeps climbing, and this is exactly what I mean. He went exactly what I thought he would. The priority on the level 2 ranged armor, and now he's gonna dive with impunity under Puppypaw's DC. He doesn't care whatsoever. The horsemen are veterancy as well. Only now knights are getting queued just to really break Puppypaw's back here at this point in time. And Castlage is just never gonna happen this game, let's be honest.
Puppypaw is desperately trying to just make a few units to try and survive this, but MarineLorD says, you pick my civilization, and this is not acceptable, so I will just kill everything. So your knights, I know exactly what their weaknesses are, and that is exactly why this will indeed be a destruction. So those archers, they are trying their best, but they cannot perform miracles. They only shoot arrows. The villagers chopping wood in a desperate little place, hoping to not get impaled by a bunch of spears, but the horse numbers, they just keep coming, Myriad. You see 8 more in queue, and they're rallied right where the damage is going to happen. Disgusting.
Nah, even the villagers now serving as a pseudo frontline here for Puppypaw. I mean, it's so over without a doubt, but Puppypaw just using some time to maybe think, collect his thoughts as to what to do next, as GG is called. MarineLorD takes game number 1. I mean, somewhat expected, frankly. The Chinese still a powerhouse even today. Even with a civilization like the French to meet them, it's still very, very difficult. You have to play so carefully as the French here when it comes to the unit control, the micro, and the macro as well when it comes to turning around to that castle age. And just a simple, wrench thrown into your gears here can really put a stopper to all your plans as the French, and all of a sudden you lose 1 knight, 2 knights, and before you know it, Chinese's castle, and you're dead before you know it.
Now, at least Puppypaw takes this from the game, and he's like, all right, at least I got China out of the way. But this still means he's got his big Abbasid pick left, and MarineLorD, he looked pretty confident in that Abbasid pick. So we'll see if this is something he tries to pull out on another map. But for the next one, we have our matchups already. Before we talk about them, I just want to take a moment here and look at how well these spears were able to do against the Vills. Even with Wheelbarrow, he was constantly focusing on getting these surrounds, catching them out in positions where they were just not going to be able to respond properly. Now, getting off a few kills here skyrocketed this economy even more. But the unlimited food, this was just a winning factor. And the question now stands, is it just because Puppypaw was not able to do an archer transition in time, and he didn't expect MarineLorD to go for such a heavy investment into non-stop spears?
I do think it was the delay on the archers. The double stable play has immense potential to work out if your opponent makes mistakes. MarineLorD is not known for making many mistakes, is he? And you can bet that when he sees the double stable, which he undoubtedly did, he's just gonna double down on the spears, and he can just overwhelm that deer position, which was just a little bit greedy from Puppypaw. I think you can definitely go for that second deer pack, but going on it so early, considering you also delayed yourself already by going for the first deer pack, his food delay was way later than normal, which is just the way it is when you go for it. then also greeting for the second deer pack without defenses either. And he did see the horseman as well. It's a bit too greedy, I think, and it definitely bit him in the behind, so to say, here. Yeah, because especially getting skewered that way, losing the knight, it's a very difficult position. Maybe fortifying the outpost might have made a difference, but I mean, that just means stone gathering, less knights, less archers. But it's also it's just a very difficult matchup as well.
I think all in all, this comes down to MarineLorD reading the game, knowing exactly what is allowed, isn't, and him executing that perfectly. Now, Puppypaw, he looked on point in this last set. He knew exactly when to hit. But MarineLorD, he reads this game so well. Puppypaw is going to need to do a lot better than that. And we saw this with Puppypaw's games. He's so good at finding damage, but MarineLorD does that a little bit better. Puppypaw, he needs to do the same with Marlians here. And when I see Marlians, I expect to see sofas. But at the same time, I see Rus. And I know that Marlians deals pretty well with what Rus has, but does it deal well with MarineLorD's Rus? Is MarineLorD going to be that same feudal aggressive player that we saw before, with that magical ram just following around to punish Marlians for trying to be greedy? Because Rus before just didn't do that well in this matchup especially.
A tough one, right? Now, as far as Rus maps go, there's no better, really, outside of maybe Pigeon's View could be a really good map. So if ever Rus has a chance, it is going to be here. Although it's a pretty decent map for Marley as well. There's a very long distance between the two bases, which is something Marley always enjoys. More time for them to boom. And I think the first gold is usually forward on this map, which is not great for them admittedly, but you can very easily control the flanks with some walls here and secure your second pit mine, so that's always nice for them. The main question here, of course, is the strategy for MarineLorD. What does he look to rely on here? We've seen Anatan's pro scouts into very heavy cavalry play, which looked very promising at the start, but Puppypaw's patience served him well there, and in the end the mass was just too much for Anatan in that game for his Rus. Things are a bit different on this map. There's of course the sacred side to consider. Anatan's strategy on this map, I think, could actually be very, very effective, so MarineLorD might look to opt for something very similar. But knowing MarineLorD, he might also look to do something different. I think MarineLorD, he always did used to go into horse archers, but he won't go horse archers unless they're actually the best unit.
And we'll see. MarineLorD can announce to us what the best unit is going to be. Everyone's sitting here right now, making their little notes, seeing exactly what the plan is here. Ooh, moving that hunting cabin. That's very surprising. Canceling it out for another one. And I wonder, is this just because of a 2 or a 3 gold difference? Or what was MarineLorD thinking here? It must have been worth it, though, for him to already cancel it that far in. But yeah, we'll see how many hunting cabins the man decides to open up with, because of course you want to get feudal so you could start making units against Marlians and not let them get that cow economy up and running. Now, it does look like these two are both going to be dealing with a very far gold forward spawn, but the problem is both golds being on the same side for Puppypaw. Now, it is luckily just far away from the woodline enough so that it does not become a problem for him to get his houses up and get the maximum value. But the problem is going to be getting the maximum value because you have an opponent that loves to do damage. So the triple hunting cabin opening for MarineLorD, he's going to get his value out of this one.
Yes, the new opening here for the Rus. We've seen it a few different times, and it's definitely a very nice little opening. It's slightly inefficient on the idle time, granted. A lot of walking around for these villagers, and I'm slightly surprised to not see MarineLorD actually place sheep on those hunting cabins. On the normal map, that's quite difficult because you're going to run out of sheep very quickly underneath your town center. But here you actually start with all the sheep next to your town center, so you can really avoid a lot of that idle time by doing so. So I'm not sure why he wouldn't opt for it. Maybe he's worried about the Sofa and Warrior Scouts early on, doesn't want to forget about them or something. Wait, that's a 4th hunting cabin?
Oh my goodness, the man is going for it, but keep in mind, could be a very good reason for this. He could be going for a lot of scouts very quickly to try and burn down whatever there is. And at the same time, with all that gold, Myriad, wouldn't it be so nice to have pro scouts? Pro scouts with a lot of scouts just means instant pickup, instant denial, and a very happy Roost player in castle.
Certainly would be, and I mean, with this amount of gold income, you might not even need to sell anything to get the pro scouts, it looks like. I mean, this is unprecedented. I've never seen this before in my life. So I'm very excited to see what's being cooked here, because it smells good, and I like it.
Maria getting a little hungry here, but we do see the villagers moving into position. No surprise here, Mansa Quarry being the weapon of choice. Now I'm just sitting here waiting for MarineLorD to see, does he pull out something even crazier? But of course not. You are going to need your golden gate to make this worth it. But look at that, MarineLorD has 5 scouts, and he might be able to pro scout, and he will be able to pro scout, but he wants to ensure that this becomes just harder and harder for his opponent to really get the value after investing, moving out on the map like this. Now, with these villagers out here, we do see that they are gathering as much of the deer as they can, but the scouts are going to have something to say about this. And with all of these scouts, he's going to be able to shut this down pretty quickly. You have to consider that this is... Marlians is very heavy on the wood in the early game. So killing this, getting rid of 50 wood is massive. Marlians cannot afford to fix this right now.
No, they definitely can't. This is another little greed here from Puppypaw, which isn't excessively greedy or anything. This is quite prudent against Roost normally, but this is a very, very smart opening from MarineLorD, I have to say. I should have foreseen this, seeing so many cabins with the 5 scouts. We've seen this before. Anatan notably has done this, and I do know that they two practice together very, very often indeed. And after this mill is finished, he'll go straight towards the pit mine next, and he's going to be able to get a good bunch of houses torched down before Puppypaw has a Donzo or a Sofa to answer this.
Oh, but you remember earlier in our castle was like, wow, it's really impressive how someone is not going for peppering up villagers. Well, MarineLorD, he's peppering those boys up. You know what the man loves to do, and what he's definitely going to do is kill villagers. That's what we saw last game as well. Oh my goodness, 5 scouts is apparently just enough to try and take down a first kill. And if he gets this, this is already so massive. He does just leave him a little bit wounded. He says, my horse archers will deal with you just a bit later. You just wait.
Yeah, I was scared that it needed to be there for a sec, but of course, only 1 damage a hit. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. Puppy would have to fall asleep to do Zaville there, realistically. Now, losing the mail and the idle time definitely hurts a bit, but at least the houses are mostly unharmed here. As I say that, though, they're, of course, the next target on the menu. Puppypaw, though, he's opening with scouts here, which I think is normally a good choice against the Roost, but when you're so behind in scouts already, you actually need to make so many scouts to be able to fight these scouts and then upgrade them to warrior as well. And every time you try to delay them from the houses, you take hits, taking longer to regen. It's a big delay before you can even deal with these scouts, and already Professional Scout is on the way in for MarineLorD behind this. And yeah, now we see the barracks being dropped by Puppypaw as well.
And Puppypaw is floating resources. He's getting ready to go pro scouts himself. And this is a pretty cool answer to wanting to deny pro scouts from your Roost opponent. But at the same time, MarineLorD is not going one direction. He is making a lot of answers to whatever Puppypaw decides to do here. Now, the warrior scouts, they do well against most things, but other scouts can still do quite a bit of damage here. Now, they are going straight for the kill. Puppypaw, he has more scouts in the queue there, so he's going to be... Ooh, I was going to say, he's not going for pro scouts anymore. He made the cows, finally. And now putting the cows in the pens means that he's basically got +2 villagers right there.
Barracks, as well as an archery range, are the follow-up here for MarineLorD, so nice little... one of his favorite compositions, really, coming in to fruition here to defend the deer. And no, he's got the lead he needs. He killed the mill. Destroyed the mill, rather. Caused the idle time. chinked these scouts a little bit, so now he can just focus on getting his day and then play from then onwards. The question is what he's going to do afterwards. Has to be careful though, because Hardened Spearman is not in yet, so you can see a lot of damage on that one Spearman. The scouts will regen, but not the Spearman in and of itself. And looks like Puppypaw now is going to move into the sofa on a decent bit of a delay, but he opted to go for the cow opening here instead, so they are in the ranches. And that is quite effective at stopping these pro scouts, but is the timing there really? Because the delay from the Dark Age is very noticeable here.
And MarineLorD is not touching an ounce of gold. He doesn't even need to think about it. He's getting his double Broadex upgrades all for free. So he's a happy man, ready to just overwhelm with a ton of units, and soon enough bringing home all the good stuff to ensure that the army is nice and fed. The scouts here from Puppypaw, they are looking for damage, but they know their limitations. Spearman in mass is not going to be the fight that they're looking for. At the same time, it feels like Puppypaw, he wants to Calboom, he wants to get his gold up and running, and at the same time make units too. And it feels like it's a little bit too much here. The cow's not in the pen either. They are waiting for better days just outside. And this is because your opponent is keeping you busy. You're trying to keep your opponent busy, but in turn, it forces mistakes out of yourself. So at the top play, we see these players making very few mistakes. But when you're up against MarineLorD, you are prone to do something wrong, right? But oh my goodness, that tower loses every single scout he has, and that is massive for MarineLorD to be able to capitalize on this. And he's capitalizing by going castle. I see knights coming soon, and I am very scared for Puppypaw.
It's a big loss, those scouts. Not only the harassment potential, but the information that they provide as well is pretty notable loss indeed. I mean, Puppypaw's going to expect this castle age, so that's not really an issue for him, but it's mainly the composition, right? What's MarineLorD actually going to move into in this castle age? We already know that the spearmen as well as the archers, as the self actually gets skewered and barely gets away with its life. The Donzo 4s, these are losses that Puppy cannot afford. He has to be very, very careful here as he looks to move in again. Yeah, this is so dangerous, but yeah, losing the scouts, as I mentioned, the lack of information is a real big problem here for Puppypaw, because Roos can go into virtually anything in this castle age. 2 additional archery ranges dropped here. This, well, yep. I think we know what's coming.
Twitch chat, I don't know if you guys were ready for this, but the half Lani is coming online, and the most delicious high trade house also joining the online party, and Roos getting there first. Feels good, pretty standard here, but Puppypaw rushing up this castle age just means that he is foregoing that feudal power that you have with a little bit of the pressure that you put down. Again, MarineLorD, he was the one putting the pressure. He was the one forcing you to make units, and now you're stuck with a bunch of sofas who are going to get absolutely massacred by these horse archers in mass, at least at the beginning, because you are going to need to invest a buttload getting the rest of your cows up and running, and getting the upgrades for those sofas that are quite expensive.
Quite expensive indeed, and especially with spears already on the field means that although the sofa do excellent against the horse archers when they're on the same playing field, there needs to be a good amount of them to do so, as Puppypaw gets caught again with the sofa as it falls. You get the destroyed value. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know so far. It's looking quite dire already for Puppypaw, frankly. But never count Marlians out. Never ever do so, as I learned the hard way as well. But soon enough, we're going to find out exactly the number we're looking for, and it's... Oh my god, that is 3 relics worth of gold.
And he has not touched a single bit of that gold for himself so far now, trying to deny the pro scouts, but guys, this is a dead sofa. Because now horse archers have arrived, and in mass, they are coming. We can see that MarineLorD is just doubling down on a lot of these. 8 right now in queue. He's got the spears at the front to burn everything he needs. And just like this, more and more food arriving in his base. Although Puppypaw says the answer to this is going to be just more sofas.
No wheelbarrow in yet for MarineLorD, which is a bit surprising. maybe not really afraid of these raids in the first place. Horse Archers looking for a wrap around, but they're met in melee by the sofa. Not the position they want to be in. Marinold actually dropping a few here, but he's going to clean up the sofa in turn for it. Definitely worth it, I would say. We're not even trying to steal Puppypaw's deer at this point in time, getting them almost all the way to his base. That's 4 deer carcasses all within his reach. That's, again, a lot of food here for MarineLorD. A lot of it has decayed, but still great income on the menu for him. You can see him severely exceeding Puppypaw's income at this point in time. And that's the thing with the Fulani Corral. It's great food income, but at the end of the day, deer is just better. Something like fish is also just better. So as long as MarineLorD has this food, the Fulani isn't really an advantage at all, frankly, here for Puppypaw. And you can see that manifest in the military numbers, as 11 horse archers additionally are in queue. And so far, MarineLorD has just made do with them so far. Archers are now in production for Puppypaw as well, but on such a delay, now he's forced to rebuild the pit mine that he had lost. But I don't think he can defend this position in his own base.
This is one of those positions you get in as the Malians where you're like, okay, realistically, I can handle a handful of horse archers, right? The problem is just you don't have a bunch of javelins to do so because you've invested everything in sofas and everything in getting those cows up, and the cows aren't even up properly. So Puppypaw is trying to make something happen with this, though. We do see him getting +1 ranged upgrade now, but it's coming in now. It's still just going to be very late with the damage that has already been done. And you have to consider there's already +2 in for MarineLorD, so he is going to make his way through that armor that you are just utilizing as much as you can. It's just such a difficult spot for him to be in. Puppypaw now is making more and more archers. He's going to be able to do some damage with these spears, but the horse archers are in the close vicinity. He needs to be careful.
Warriormonger discovered here by Puppypaw. It will be pushed back to MarineLorD's base, but it's a small victory, one of many that he needs still in this game so far. Arch numbers have built up very healthily, admittedly, here for Puppypaw, so he's going to be able to push away this mass from his base finally, but damage has been done. So many houses went down. The second pit mine also has fallen at this stage again. Puppypaw is forced to rebuild. Even at this stage, he's rebuilding houses, rebuilding pit mines. I'd be very surprised if he manages to get a third one this game, frankly, unless he sneaks around the side, potentially. Relics being collected by MarineLorD, 3 in already. And yeah, it's just too much of a build-up. The destroyed value tells the whole tale this game so far. GG is called. And MarineLorD, I have to say, he's looking unstoppable.
Right now, Puppypaw does not have the secret sauce to take down MarineLorD just yet. And that economy from Puppypaw, we see the dotted line. It looks good, but we know it doesn't reflect exactly what the economy looked like, because MarineLorD, he had huge income behind all of this. With the relics now, with all those hunting cabins, he was in the best spot a Roos could hope for. And finally, Roos winning a competitive game. I did not think we would see this that early in 2026.
It took MarineLorD to play them for it to happen, apparently.
So it was MarineLorD all along. He was the missing link between all of these. Do you see some critical moments here as Puppypaw tried to make it happen with some of his own scouts, knowing that they are warrior scouts at that. MarineLorD, just with those numbers, he definitely made magic happen already. And this critical moment, losing both of these, that is pretty tough.
Pretty tough indeed. And it all went downhill after this, especially here for Puppypaw in this game. But it's a best of 7 at the end of the day. We're only potentially halfway through here so far, and plenty more games to come. Despite the rough start, anything can happen from here on out. We've seen reverse sweeps every which way so far in Age of Empires 4. And looks like Puppypaw is going to rely on a bit of a staple now, slowly building. And it's going to be the Golden Horde on Hill and Dale up against MarineLorD's Abbasid dynasty.
And getting the Golden Horde in Hill and Dale, we've seen the power of that. And this is interesting now. It's becoming a little bit of a staple pick. But with MarineLorD getting Abbasid, I don't know, man. After that tier list we took a look at, I just feel like MarineLorD, he's feeling the power in this one. But all jokes aside, Abbasid is not the worst civilization on Hill and Dale. Now, even though MarineLorD ranked it as D tier, as you guys can see here, he prioritized this thing. He says this could work. And honestly, like I said, I think Hillendale is just a map that you can camp just a little bit. A little bit is all you need with Abbasid to just get the food going, especially with Eco Wing. You get such a great advantage here. But you have to consider, this is the Golden Horde. Golden Horde, they do very well if you let them be as well. So MarineLorD probably doesn't want to let him be too much. So are we going to see a little bit more of an aggressive type of MarineLorD coming out to handle that Golden Horde who loves to sit back and camp?
Yeah, that's why it's quite exciting to see this. I mean, Abbasid we see here, it's D tier in MarineLorD's opinion, right? And most people would agree. But it's easy to forget with Abbasid, they're so slow and vulnerable early on. But if they have even just a little bit of room, just a few minutes to get those farms in, get that Golden Age in, get that Castle Age in, they are still the hardest scaling civilization in the game to this day. And that is something that deserves respect. So the pressure is on the opponent. Every time Abbasid gets to boom, you have to kill them, or at least deal crippling damage to them. Otherwise, they will run away with the game. They have an incredible economy, fantastic army alongside it. So respect is deserved. And Puppypaw here with the Golden Horde, like you mentioned, this is another civilization that does so well if they're given room to breathe. Whether they can hold a candle to Abbasid is tough to say. I mean, I think the army strength is quite comparable, honestly, when it comes to full infantry on full infantry. The bonuses are very similar for that matter. Abbasid has extra health. Golden Horde has slightly less extra health, but more armor as well. So it gets very, very interesting, I think. And the problem is the economy, though. When it comes to the economy, there's a very clear winner between these two.
Especially considering you can get that third unit popping out for free. And it does scale so well. We can see Puppypaw, I believe it was Puppypaw who played this last time, and we know that, hey, this man, he knows the limitations of the Civ. We'll just see if MarineLorD knows them as well. Knows every single ounce of power that the civilization may hold, especially when that triple production begins. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he just tries to completely steamroll. I think this is going two ways. One of two ways. We're either getting complete steamroll, or we're going to get a lot of eco and a lot of TCs to just have an economy that outscales anything any man could ever dream of. And luckily for us, in this matchup, we might get a little bit of the other side of Golden Horde again, against someone who goes for something that's not the Torguds and the Khan. So I'm excited to see a little bit of another side of these civilizations, because in a lot of matchups, I think when you move out of the top 4, maybe out of the top 6, you see a lot of linear gameplay, a lot of very straightforward strategies. But with these guys at the top, they figured out things that we might just not be aware of up until now. And after this tournament, who knows? Maybe Abbasid gets picked on ladder again, and we make Abbasid great again.
Maybe so. I mean, I know for sure after Ottoman became clear that they're quite strong, because they've been strong for a while. There's plenty of absolutely shameless Ottoman one tricks on the ladder, and I know who you are. But yeah, it might be a similar case with Abbasid soon enough. We'll have to wait and see. It's quite interesting because I was talking earlier about economy, and I sort of led it into, you mentioned Golden Horde. I was talking about Abbasid, but you're perfectly right. Golden Horde has some amazing economic bonuses too, with that discount, with those stockyards. Whether it's better than Abbasid, I'm doubtful, but hopefully we get to find out this game. Honestly, can we please see Puppy going for TC as well? Please. Thank you.
If it's a TC play, we need a 2 TC play from both players. Thank you very much, Puppypaw MarineLorD, for making this happen. The 2 TC meta cannot be dead this quickly. We need it to come back. And guys, we're about to go find out exactly what that looks like as we're ready to roll in. Ladies and gentlemen, Puppypaw in the yellow here on the Golden Horde. And that's very far forward. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, that it is. That's almost off the cliff even at this point in time. That just screams, come burn this. But yeah, I don't think Abbasid's going to do that. That's for sure. So this game, at least, unlike the last one against Anatan, Puppypaw can rest assured that Dark Age should be pretty tame for him so far. As House of Wisdom goes up for MarineLorD, who is in the color red as the Abbasid in the north section of Hill and Dale. Facing Puppypaw in the color yellow, fitting for the Golden Horde, spawning in the south side. And how many TCs, Mareka?
I feel 3 TCs. 3 TCs from MarineLorD. He's a responsible Abbasid boomer. He's not... See, we're all kind of old. I know, Myriad, you're one of the young bloods in the community, but MarineLorD, you have Demu, you have Beastie, all of them come from the StarCraft days. We're all boomers over there, you know? So Mr. MarineLorD, he's an expert boomer, but he knows exactly what his limitations of boom are. So I do not expect to see more than 3 from him without making some significant aggressive moves to justify so. I do want to take a moment, though, Myriad. Look at that Gur. The ooh might be all the way in China, but the Gur value is top-notch here. As we see, a lot of the villagers already out there on the deer. So the game tried to make up. The spawn was like, you're going to have it rough, but not too rough. Don't worry, I got you. And that's exactly what we see here. Wonderful Gur.
Yeah, it's pretty OP, I gotta say. I think we even had survival techniques, if I'm not mistaken, because of the extra on gold. Don't know if I'm wrong or not. We can maybe have a look to see. But, yeah, that's a nice little guy. And he's gonna push in. Yeah, we do have it. There we go. And we do have the additional deer push to come in. That's great, great value here for Puppypaw. It is gonna delay his age up, but more food is very, very nice. The question comes now. It's definitely going to be at least 3 TCs here from MarineLorD. Well, at least 1. He might go for 3 if there's no aggression, which, granted, is very delayed from Golden Horde anyway. But what's Puppy going to do? I mean, I hope, as I mentioned, we're going to see an even number of TCs between the two of them. That's what we really want to see, let's be honest, and see exactly who wins in a boom-off between these two powerhouses. But it might also just be a fast castle and trying to actually leverage relic Uvus to his advantage, because with that additional stone, that actually in and of itself might be the boom that Puppypaw's looking for.
And now that I look at this, with Puppypaw's delay in his age up too, this actually gives MarineLorD a lot more breathing room than I bargained for. This is a position where Abbasid won't be harassed for an insane amount of time. Now, the Khan and the Torguds are coming out, so the Khan is going to ensure that you don't get to make 4 TCs without being punished, but you know, 3 TC, you might still be all right. So definitely, MarineLorD, that age up of Puppypaw is giving him a lot of space. He's only got 4 on stone though, so of course, eventually the pressure will meet there, but depends on that first TC placement to just ensure that the Khan doesn't get to charge in all for free.
Yes, indeed. Golden Horde's so slow on the age up that punishing any kind of economic play here from Marino is going to be pretty difficult, especially because of the even slower start for Puppypaw's Golden Horde here, because of that day and the survival techniques. It means that Marino's going to have his 3rd TC up by the time Puppypaw finishes his age up, I think, which is actually pretty crazy when you think about it, but it makes sense here. Fertile Crescent, as well as fresh food stuff, skewed up immediately. Exactly the right amount of gold for both their MarineLorD, and actually, interestingly enough, he's staying on gold still so far, so maybe a bit expecting potentially that he will need at least Hardened Spearman upgrade for his Spearman soon enough, but he can just get away with 3 TCs here without even being stopped. And look at that. That's disgusting, Mareka. What is that spawn in the north side of MarineLorD's base there? Double berry and deer? What?
I wonder if he's seen it properly, but ooh, with this TC, you're already getting some good value. He has pulled off of stone completely, and I know, yes, he's using them to build, but this TC enables him to actually go back and have them pretty safely tucked away. But now, having 6 on gold here, you know, I know with fresh foodstuffs, you can sustain your villager production with only 6, so this does feel pretty good for him. But now MarineLorD has to make that decision. Getting survival techniques now. Ooh, actually not focusing on that spearman upgrade, but rather just saying, I need the food. I'm going to be producing a lot of units. But now Archer's being the choice here, and Puppypaw, he's playing the aggressive game, and I'm really happy to see this. He knows what his opponent is capable of, and he's going to go and punish that. Now, the gold that MarineLorD is on, this is going to be so critical if Puppypaw decides to push out. Ooh, but he's going straight for food. Is this only 2TC? Were we all wrong?
Yeah,
It seems so.
this has to be only 2TC. MarineLorD being very, very respectful here. I mean, he understands. He even placed Golden Horde as what was it, B tier? I think he placed it. No, I think it was C tier actually. Middle of the pack. It's to be respected. They have yeah, there we go. It is B tier actually. It is B tier. So middle of the pack. It's a respectable, and they're very strong in the feudal age. You know, the Torguds are so tanky. They can dive under these TCs, but they can't quite do so by himself. It's to be respected, so no surprises here. He's going to stick with 2. If he can still secure that... I mean, I'm not over it. It's so insane. It cannot get better than this if you have a sit. It cannot get better.
Now the Khan has found... The Khan found a connection here, but now this is the interesting part. There comes a point where your villager kills just don't matter. You are playing against opposite with the cheapest of cheap villagers. Now you can see the Torguds. They take very little damage. You get a little bit of idle time. Sure, oh, they get a villager kill. Good value coming in there. But you have to ask yourself, can I do enough to make this really matter? Now, MarineLorD, he's getting one of his own, though, because now with the archers coming in, he's going to need to find a pretty good answer to this. Puppypaw already reading the situation perfectly, and he's going for his own spears to help with this push.
Yeah, some horsemen is very prudent here from MarineLorD, similarly to how we saw him doing the Chinese game. You want to have at least a few on the map to keep Puppypaw on edge, not let him have free reign on all the map resources is crucial here for MarineLorD on this defensive position. Puppypaw actually getting quite greedy there, going for a fortified outpost. That would be huge if it goes up for him, but MarineLorD is not going to allow him to do that, as the horsemen proved to be a very good choice here. He's going to be able to push away the villages as well as pick up some archer kills here. This is quite big value gained here by MarineLorD early on so far. He's going to throw away a spearman, and one of his horsemen had fallen as well alongside it. I think he lost another spearman as well.
Yeah, he lost a few units there, but Puppypaw feels like this is worth it to commit to it. And it makes sense. You do have the Torgud, you have the Khan. You're in a position where you do have a little bit of a stronger unit composition here to try and secure this. And that's exactly what he does. He does lose that Khan, or does lose the scout though, and it does look like this is a pretty heavy thing to invest into. And the Khan already getting on top of a lot of units, but at the same time, those villagers are running back. They realize this might be a little bit too much for me. Khan needs to back off too, but the horsemen will be able to also pick that off if he even survived it out there. The villagers now need to back off, and the tower will need to be cancelled. Puppypaw is in shambles, and MarineLorD is the one with the military lead and on 2 TCs. This is scary.
This couldn't be worse for Puppypaw in this position. This is as bad as it can possibly get. Not only is his tower denied, but he loses his entire forward military for this. Now, as you mentioned, MarineLorD ahead in economy, firmly ahead in military at this stage as well. Puppypaw doesn't even get to cancel the fortified outpost before it gets torched, so losing the wood for it as well, and it's more expensive than normal. Even losing the stone for it, I think, because it costs 50 stone as well. These are huge losses for Puppypaw so far in this game. Look at the destroyed value, triple in favor now for MarineLorD. It is massive, well, almost. But I don't see what Puppypaw does from this position, honestly.
Puppypaw needs to find some kind of answer that handles an economy that is completely boomed, while he's the one out here on the map getting punished for it now. Spearman in position to try and stop this, but even just these raids, they don't need to stop. MarineLorD says, though, they're gonna stop, because I'm going for a responsible castle behind... never mind, the horses have been queued up. But at the same time, you can see he still has so many villagers there on gold. they are easily just going to boost him into castle in any way he wants. Now, he can still make units without even delaying it. So the horsemen are really going to be paying off because this just is going to force Puppypaw to keep responding with these spears. And we can very clearly see Puppypaw wants to go castle.
Yeah, well, when the push fails, I guess that's sort of what you're left with in this position. And granted, he's going to have the timing advantage here by a decent margin. And he might be able to even rely on Relic Uvus here to bail him out. And that income is not to be underestimated. But it is going to be the Musk of the Yasak instead, which is on paper better. But the issue is, although you're going to have the extra armor on your armored units, Abbasid deals with that so well, especially with an economic advantage like this. Puppypaw is struggling, without a doubt, and he's looking for ways out of this struggle. As the horseman from MarineLorD keeps circling, he's still actively producing even now, just waiting mainly for his gold to catch up to his food at this point in time. Food, of course, not usually a big struggle for Abbasid whatsoever.
Now, it does feel like these two guys have definitely... They're going to be facing it off in castle with a bang. But the difference is there's camels on the one side and a lot of other diverse units to handle this. So Puppypaw, the civ that needs to be ahead, that cannot lose too much, is the one who lost too much and is definitely not ahead. You usually have this little bit of a timer in your head for yourself where you're like, okay, I need to punish that second TC. And that's around 11 minutes. It's 12 minutes in and he has been punished. So definitely putting MarineLorD in a spot now where he's going to decide what the next moves are as he goes and gets another villager kill very smoothly without the cost of horsemen.
Yeah, just exemplary control being displayed here by MarineLorD, pinching another villager there for... What was it, one horseman overall for two villagers in this running around? Certainly a trade you're happy with. And right when Puppypaw moves away, the two spears are not going to be enough to actually stem the tide of these horsemen, as there's going to be another villager down. Make that two. It's going to be three. I think they're all going to die here almost right as it finishes. Maybe he didn't quite finish it before stopping. Another 4 villagers, 4 here for Puppypaw. It's just going from bad to worse for Puppypaw in this game and in this series, unfortunately.
Now, when I see a position like this for MarineLorD after taking or giving so many hits and now getting military wing, he's the one who now is aging up, right? So you're the one who's at risk in a way, but the tower is reinforced and the units he has just cannot handle this. And at the same time, he's got horsemen in Puppypaw's base. He's got Puppypaw completely under control, and it doesn't even seem like Puppypaw knows this. Now an archery range coming out here. He wants to produce more and more archers, a few men-at-arms in queue here. Puppypaw is spending everything, and it's getting desperate.
We do have the additional armor and stats coming in for the Karash upgrade. That has finished. Veterancy is finishing as well. Level 2 ranged armor for Puppypaw finishing as well. There is a little timing to be had here maybe, but the issue is the wall as well as the outpost are in position. MarineLorD's own age up has finished, and Puppypaw knows it's go time. It's now or never, but quadruple knight in queue for MarineLorD behind this. There's very few spares here in line for Puppypaw to actually stem the tide of those lances once they're out, and they're going to be out very very soon indeed. Veterancy upgrades are quite far out for MarineLorD still, but he's fighting under a TC here, Puppypaw is, so he's going to lose a lot in this as the TC focus fires the veteran archers. MarineLorD's own archers are also focus firing on them, first dealing actually with the Karash as well as the spearmen. The first lancers are joining the fray. The camel riders were here as well, but they are fallen by now, and it looks like it's just a pretty firm hold here for MarineLorD. Not a lot of danger. Only one villager has fallen in this debacle. Maybe another one will fall now on the exit, but it's just a repeat from earlier. The push has completely stalled. GG is cold, and MarineLorD is one game away from being the first to qualify to the Red Bull Wololo in London.
Now, when I see a performance like this, I have a feeling all other players are going to be very happy that MarineLorD qualified the first week. The competition looking a lot tighter here for the rest of them, but MarineLorD, he wants to make this clean. He's coming here to qualify. He gets to prepare for the next few weeks just watching every other player do their best. And this is exactly the spot you want to be in. You get to practice the things that you know will be coming for you in the tournament. You get to see every single series that comes out ahead. And you have a lot of downtime right before a major event that is probably the biggest one you're worried about this whole year.
It's true. Qualifying first is just such a great advantage here for MarineLorD if he does manage it. Of course, we can't quite count Puppypaw out yet, but yeah, it would be a huge advantage indeed, because so many games you can watch just relax, knowing you don't have to compete for a while longer until the actual event. You're going to see exactly how players play, what they prioritize, and prepare accordingly for the tournament within 2 months' time. And 3 months, actually. Is it March or April? Can't quite remember. Start of April, we get confirmation, yeah. And yeah, that's a very big advantage here. And Puppypaw, once again, leaning on what seems to be quite a reliable pick for him. It is going to be the Mongols on Frisian Marshes up against MarineLorD's Delhi Sultanate.
Now, this is a pretty good spot for MarineLorD, like I said. But for Puppypaw, someone who is also very, very likely to qualify for this event, he gets every bit of practice that he needs. And this feels decent enough. He knows his performance today has been great in his other showings. So this doesn't mean he's done. He's definitely going to have the opportunity to try and bring this back, especially getting Mongols here on Frisian. And I know that for Mongols, we haven't seen as much action on Frisian as the rest, but MarineLorD respects the Lancaster power on Frisian Marshes. And I like seeing the fact that Puppypaw wants to face off against Delhi. Now, the Mongol-Delhi matchup, Maria, talk me through this thing, because you're the pro player here. What happens? How does this one play out?
Historically, it's gone very back and forth, hasn't it? It's seen a lot of play. It's seen a lot of either side winning. Historically, trade has been a part of this matchup as well. Back in its peak, when Mongols were what Ottomans are now, essentially, really. that was the time to be alive for sure in AoE4. Long gone are those days at this point in time, and Frisian was a trade map back then. No longer, really. The trade posts so far central and very unsafe. So I'd be very surprised to see trade. And I think the sad reality here for Puppypaw, if I was to have a prediction, is that without trade, and safe trade to do so, I just don't see Mongols winning an extended feudal age here, and it only gets harder in Castle Age. In theory, Mongols are better in feudal age. They have access to the Keshik, which is better than the Ghazi Raider. There's no doubt about it. It's stronger. But the mass is a problem. The free upgrades are a problem. The berries are a problem, and the healing from the scholars is an even bigger problem than all of the other factors I mentioned. And someone like MarineLorD piloting Delhi, it's kind of difficult, I think. I'm really curious what Puppypaw has planned here, because he did pick this map indeed, and went for Mongols here, of course, despite having some pretty other decent picks here as well. I mean, Sengoku's quite good here as well. Not the best, but pretty decent. Jushi can be a very prudent pick. JD as well is good up against Delhi in particular. But he opts for the Mongols, so I'm very excited to see what he has in store for us.
Now, a lot of people might be thinking, okay, so we're going to get some water action from the Delhi here, right? And Mongols, they're just going to try and shut this down. But we'll see that as we're going into the game in a second. But you have to understand that Mongols is the one with the spears here. He's the one that gets to push out and actually do a lot of work to control the pace of the game. We see the Uwu the TC right on top of the Uwu. And as MarineLorD, you're not really too worried about the spears shutting down your dock, because you have fishing boats that can shoot. So this feels pretty good for the Delhi anyway, in that case. But now Puppypaw, he gets to go and shut down the gold. And when we look at the gold spawns for MarineLorD, both of them are on the same side. So a tower rush is something that is quite effective here. Now, Delhi doesn't need too much gold to get around, but they do need enough for an age up, and that is more than enough to already be a little bit troublesome. But Puppypaw now getting close to that required wood needed for the barracks and puts it down. It's time for our Mongol shenanigans.
I was gonna say, the Dark Age opener here for Mongols, that's something they can definitely do very well. They can still fight Dark Age against the best of them, really, against most civilizations, except Ottomans. You know, again, Ottomans being the best in an age, what a shocker. But on this map in particular, and against Delhi, you can't destroy a dock. The fishing ships shoot, and I don't think you're gonna stop the gold from coming in fast enough here for MarineLorD. Granted, MarineLorD went for a bit of a greedy opening here. He went for an early mill to prioritize getting the faster gathering rate of the berries, so that does delay his feudal age, and in turn also delays his mining camp here in turn. So there might be a little value to be gained here for Puppypaw. The villager is still also on the shoreline fish next to the dock, so if MarineLorD doesn't pay attention, that villager could be dead.
Now, that villager usually gets in a little bit of danger for staying out here a while. And I want to quickly take a second to just look at the amount of villagers we still have on wood here. Now, 10 on wood just means we might just see continued investment on all of this. Puppypaw sending that villa out, he's ready for some action. But MarineLorD feels confident enough in all of this, and he's just going to make more docks. And that was what I meant. The fact that we're dealing here with MarineLorD still investing on wood means that you are going to just get a very confident Delhi to keep pushing on out. And he's not even thinking about gold, which I'm a little bit worried about for him. But with the villagers still being all the way out there, maybe that's going to be the sneaky villager who will be the sole gold collector of the empire.
Even a tower rush coming in on this dock here, and that's of course not in vision. The dock cannot see into a stealth forest. At least I don't think so, right? Is it just reserved to outposts? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we can have a look with the perspective vision. But even a second dock here from MarineLorD, this is actually quite uncharacteristic. He normally doesn't go for this kind of greed in this position, but he does so now. Maybe thinking that if he... maybe thinking that if the villager gets rotated on by the spears, then he might be free to actually challenge this outpost, but doesn't seem to be the case. And we did have confirmation, docks cannot see into stealth forests.
And this is what I'm talking about. The fact that MarineLorD was so confident he knew exactly, again, the limitations. And he says, there are none. Let me just keep investing on water. I already have the economy lead. I got this. Now, the villager here will eventually go down, right? But he has served his purpose. He's done what he could, and the Khan will eventually get this kill. But before he does, the villager will just go and try to catch a little bit more fish. And we see those spears desperately trying to do some work. They are just not able to do so. Oh, but they might get another villager. Never mind, never mind. MarineLorD is a fast boy, and he is able to keep that villager alive again. Oh. Oh, MarineLorD.
So close, yet so far there for Puppypaw. Still, some decent value gained, right? A lot of long-distance mining here, which is very inefficient here for MarineLorD. And he did pick off the villager that was building those additional docks. This tower is also going to be very annoying for this fishing. But actually, is it annoying enough? I'm not sure. Okay, well, the spears is definitely going to be, without a doubt. Especially when arrow slits comes in. Like, this dock is going to be kaput. But there's more docks behind this, and there's more fishing ship production. Actually, Puppypaw is just going to tower that one as well. Why not, at the end of the day? And in theory, this makes a lot of sense. You're paying 100 wood to deny what is, well, 150 wood for the dock, but then way more for every additional fishing ship, 75 for every fishing ship, and then you only need a 50 stone and a bit of gold to upgrade for the arrow slits, so the value is definitely there, especially if you manage to torch these docks as well behind it. That's bounty in the favor for Puppypaw. So I'm actually really liking Puppypaw's position right now.
This is interesting, and something I didn't even consider. The option of tower rushing the docks. Because, of course, for Mongols, it is about getting that bounty too. Now, the question just becomes, is it worth it for MarineLorD in the long run just to have that food boost that he got initially with these fishing boats? Because still, this is a pretty big investment here from Puppypaw too. So the fishing boats, they do drop off what they can. And now they will burn down the dock, but again, big investment at the same time. Puppypaw getting his tower in place onto the next dock, and he's just gonna have to keep making towers here. So those fishing boats, I feel like they may have paid off. I'm not sure though. And this is why I think Puppypaw is the one to answer that. But MarineLorD at the same time, the insight you can get from this man is really understanding when do I stop investing? And for him, it was when the villager died. If he didn't die, he might have still been making docks up until now.
I think he definitely would have. There's only so many outposts Puppy can build at the end of the day, right? That's probably what he's thinking to himself. But, I mean, we saw, even without the arrow slits, the spears just in the tower were enough and in range to challenge that fishing. And Puppypaw, I mean, getting another outpost there is probably a bit of a stretch, really. It's so far up north and there's already plenty of idle time. But this is a very good start here for Puppypaw, I have to say. And MarineLorD... this just goes to show the belly, right? There's 9 spears on the field and he still opens Gazis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he believes in it. He knows the power of Gazis. He knows how well they're going to deal with the follow-up that comes out of those spears. And Puppypaw going for double broadaxe here as well. He's just wanting to get that wood boost, and we do see him slowly moving out onto the water. So getting the water for himself makes a lot of sense. You're Mongols. You do pretty well with that extra bit of food boost. And we have seen what Mongols can do if they get a little bit of breathing room anyway. The problem is the Gazis. The Gazis are going to be everywhere at the same time. And that Ghazi picks off the first archer who made his way back to the base. Now the hospital is waiting right behind. And it is feeling good. Ghazi all getting back up to max. That's going to be a very healthy Ghazi for yet another raid.
There's nice little value eked out there by MarineLorD, taking out the archer, and only a bit of idle time caused on the towers. Yeah, I mean, MarineLorD's trying, but the amount of micro required to actually fish at least a little bit from that pond is way more than it is worth, without a doubt. So you just gotta leave those garrison for now, I think. Archer follow-up from MarineLorD makes complete sense here, of course, to deal with the plenty of spares on the field. Meanwhile, Keshix is on the menu here for Puppypaw behind this. Already has his double broadaxe in. MarineLorD has his wheelbarrow finished. Horticulture as well as wheelbarrow soon finishing as well. And now Sanctity is in queue. Upgrades are quite a bit slowed down for him because of the lack of gold so far, which meant no additional scholars from that Dome of the Faith. And actually MarineLorD prioritized a very early blacksmith here as well, with Iron Undermesh now on the way as his first upgrade of choice.
You see him now queuing up 2 scholars pretty quickly, realizing, hey, I've got the gold in the bank. Oh yes, I'm Delhi. I don't need any gold in Feudal Age. So I need to get my scholars up and running. Now, it looks like he put on a second archer range, cancelled it, and put something else down, but I have no idea what he could be investing in. But now, Puppypaw is the one who's not on the side of MarineLorD anymore. Now, he's the one getting the food as much as he can from these waters and going into Keshix. Now, the Keshix, they are going to be spicy for the raids. But the problem is, at this point in the game, it's pretty hard to raid Delhi, because they've got a tower here on the gold, and the woodline is still in a pretty safe position. So if you do get on top of them, those Ghazi raiders are going to catch up with you very, very quickly.
Even double blacksmith actually here by MarineLorD means that he has his steel arrow on the way as well. Quite greedy, but somehow he makes it work. The macro from him is exquisite in this position, I have to say, keeping his resources very nice and low. Puppypaw is floating a little bit of gold, but manages to steady it out now, investing into wheelbarrow as well as specialized pick, and further Keshix behind this as well. But MarineLorD's mass is looking very healthy. The barracks is on the field now as well, with the scholar inside, so he's going to produce spears quite quickly here, and these archers are a little bit out of position. Keshik and the spears not going to be enough to stop these 3 Ghazis from actually killing the archers, and yeah, then just run away. The Keshiks, again, they are stronger, but at the end of the day, they are slower as well. So catching up to these Ghazis is not something that's ever feasible for them.
And you can see that demonstrated in this chase, where the Ghazis, even when being charged upon, they are just running at normal speed, not a care in the world. They know heavy armor weighing them down is just a fever dream. And That just means MarineLorD gets to have his little lake back. So go straight for the tower. He does need to be careful here because the Keswiks are in position. But you can see with the amount of archers he's got here and the 2 scholars to sustain the units, he doesn't want to lose a single thing.
Tower goes down, the spears inside are now going to fall. That's a lot of military again being lost here for Puppypaw. The Keswiks charge in, but there's already spears in position and plenty of Ghazi Raiders as well. Scholar healing coming through as well. The Keswiks are going to do great work. They're actually melting through the numbers here for MarineLorD, but the mass is there. It's too much of it here for Puppypaw. And with these upgrades coming in behind this as well for Puppypaw, this military disadvantage, I think, is insurmountable.
Now, MarineLorD is looking at closing this out so commandingly. You see, with all the Ghazis, he's just going to be the one in the base of Puppypaw. And you know how Puppypaw was the one building towers everywhere? This is the opposite scenario now. MarineLorD microing those units absolutely perfectly to try and get us around on every single archer that dared come out. Now, the few archers that Puppypaw does have will get quickly picked off by the archers of MarineLorD if they dare step out too fast. Being in position to get the Ghazi Raiders, who are just being a little bit cheeky by charging in on those archers, very happily just firing away. They do move out of position here, and this might be an opening to pick up a unit or 2, but he says a single unit only. The rest of them, you're going to have to work for those.
With a surge of confidence, MarineLorD goes directly across the map and challenges Puppypaw's home dock here directly. The demo gets spotted and is not going to find any value. Puppypaw is scrambling to get together the military numbers to challenge this, but the Delhi mass is uncontestable at this stage. It's so much. The upgrade advantage is there as well. Normally, it's difficult for Delhi to find an upgrade advantage in the feudal age in terms of timing, but here, MarineLorD makes it look easy. The Keswiks find a fantastic connection on the archers, but it's not quite enough of them to challenge the Ghazis and the spears that follow afterwards, and that opens the room for MarineLorD's own cavalry to dive directly onto Puppypaw's backline, who's now forced to retreat directly underneath the TC. Plenty of arrow fire coming through. Maybe MarineLorD might have been just a touch overzealous there, but still the mass is so healthy. Double Sacred Site cap behind this as well, and so many injured Ghazis here that can all be brought back and healed if MarineLorD just chooses to do so. But he doesn't even need to. The mass is there. Economic lead, military lead, a lead in every possible way here for MarineLorD.
They're reclaiming every single little pond there for himself, ensuring that he is going to stay ahead when he's ahead. MarineLorD's army not slowing down whatsoever, but with all that gold income, this man, he can decide to go whichever way he chooses. And Puppypaw realizes this. MarineLorD making it all the way to London in a convincing sweep throughout the bracket. Today, only Beastie was able to take a game off of MarineLorD, and this is pretty scary. I think all of these players getting a rude awakening for what's waiting for them in London.
Yeah, MarineLorD, I have to say, he has looked so sharp today. It's been a while since I've seen him play this exquisitely. I struggle to find even one mistake that has been made in this entire series so far by him, and it's wild to watch. And Puppypaw, he went into this confident. He looked fantastic up against Anatan, and you know, it's one of those things. I'm not sure if maybe there was some there definitely were some slip-ups from Puppypaw that I can point to, but is it a case of Puppypaw playing maybe a little bit worse against MarineLorD, or is it just MarineLorD playing so well that he makes Puppypaw look worse? It's always an interesting dichotomy, I find.
Fantastic play here by the man, and rightfully deserved all the way through. I think MarineLorD now feeling pretty confident about his showing, but this is also going to motivate the players to get ready for this event and practice a lot harder. See, when you're sitting there watching the weakness of your opponent, and this is interesting about the Puppypaw game, Puppypaw showed no weakness, but MarineLorD was still able to try and find some. And just the same, MarineLorD showed no weaknesses here. So none of the other players will have that opportunity either.
Yeah. Puppypaw was a fantastic attempt, but wasn't quite able to break through today, but there'll be plenty of chances in the future, as we mentioned. But we have confirmation. MarineLorD is ready for his winner's interview and qualifying interview in this case as well. So we're just waiting to be moved over to hear from the man himself. MarineLorD, congratulations on a stunning 4-0 victory here. That was pretty decisive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm very happy about how I played this final. I think against Bestial I made a lot of mistakes. It was quite shaky. But against Puppy, I think I played I made some small macro mistakes. But all my game plans were very good. And all my decisions were very good. And my micro was very good. So it was just about maybe lacking some wood on the first 2 games at some point. But it was still a very small macro mistake. Otherwise, I think I played very well.
I think so as well. You did look very, very clean throughout this series. We can go through the games now to sort of dissect your brain a little bit. I think the burning question first and foremost is this dry Arabia draft here. We see Chinese and Abbasid being picked by you, and Puppypaw opts for the French and English, and you snipe out English, he snipes out Abbasid. Why? What's going on here?
I mean, it's the best of 7, and you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot give yourself your best sieve against worst opponent sieve. It's gonna be a free loss, but then your draft is gonna look much worse. So normally you just send the 2 best sieve, but it was not so easy because I think China is slightly disadvantaged against French. So I was not sure if I should get the free win against English, or if I should ban English and play against French. I saw him play this matchup, I'm not sure when, but at some point recently. So I knew how he would play it, and I felt like my style would beat what he is doing most of the time. I think they are a bit too greedy with French, maybe. Going all out on the map.
Yeah, that definitely seemed to be the case. The horseman read was, I think, fantastic. Just the 2 early on to push him away from the deer, as there was no tower, nothing there to protect. That certainly worked out very, very well. And I'm surprised to hear you say that. Do you think the matchup is generally actually difficult for China and favors French, or do you mean that it's closer than most people would think?
If I could pick, I would pick French, but it's very, very close. Maybe like 50-48. So it's a skill matchup, but with my first pick against its second pick, I didn't want to lose, obviously. So I was not too sure. Also, losing China here means I cannot snipe. I mean, you cannot really snipe, but Mali against China is fine for China. So I wanted that, maybe. Or some other matchups that was possible. Same like if you get Golden Horde against China, Golden Horde is decent, but against China, it just get destroyed. So I just wanted a better matchup, right? But this one was fine, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of matchups, Rus up against Malians on King of the Hill.
Yep.
From what I've seen, Rus, especially nowadays, tends to struggle more than ever before in this matchup. Yep. But despite this, I think you had a very intelligent opener here with the additional 2 hunting cabins to produce the scouts and put this heavy, heavy pressure here on Puppypaw. Obviously, you got great value there from the mill, as well as the idle time caused by it, and then switching towards the pit mine to start torching that down. Is this your usual opener up against Marlins? Is this the way to sort of turn it around in favor of Rus, do you think, or is it still quite difficult?
No, I think on this map it's fine, but on other maps it's harder. And I feel like everything went my way on this game. He went for the mill, pretty far away from his base, I just decided to torch it. Plus I know this matchup a little bit, and I'm quite sure he never played against 4 hunting cabin. I played it maybe like twice in practice against Anotan, so maybe he's the only one aware I do that. And yeah, basically with 4 hunting cabin you can actually, instead of selling your wood to get gold, when you age up you can sell gold to get wood, which is very different, right? Because you can get wooden fortress so early, plus barracks, and then even if your pro scout is delayed, you can easily pro scout while you deal some damage on the other side of the map, and you get more passive income for the whole game, right? So it's not big, but it's a lot of small details that can help a recursive win.
That's very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm glad you told us about that. That's something I'll study a little bit as well, without a doubt. But it worked out great in the end.
Yeah.
I guess it's it's an issue that it comes down to sort of the food really by the end. If you can't do significant damage with that push or gain firm control of the hill, then it gets quite tough if you don't have a good transition or dealt damage, right?
Yeah, but horse archer are very good on this map because you can wall pretty easily. So usually on open maps, people can raid you, but on this one, you can wall pretty easily and then you just make mass horse archer. And in theory, there are not many counters because the unit is still a little bit broken. So it's not as strong as before in the early Castle Age, but when you scale with it, it's still as broken as before. So once I got the few damage at the start, I knew like it was enough for me to snowball properly, and then he lost scout against scout, and then he lost scout in my base, and so fast, and he lost pretty much everything all the time, which was very nice for me.
Yeah, it did go from bad to worse for Puppy in that game, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for you, of course, it worked out there. Moving on to Hill and Dale here, we have another almost unseen matchup. We've seen this a couple of times, actually, against Anatan, didn't we? But not on Hill and Dale, but this was on Hill and Dale. Abbasid up against Golden Horde. Now, I was joking pre-game that Puppy should just match the amount of TCs you make and look to try to outboom, because I'm sure you'd agree, Golden Horde scales very, very well. As to whether they scale better than Abbasid, I'm not so sure. Do you think that would have been an option for Puppypaw in this game, or is it just you're just playing a losing game?
I mean, what I learned from AoE4 since the release, never go 2 or 3 TC against Abbasid. Like, the economy is just too strong for Abbasid, and you're gonna get relics, you're gonna get map control so easily, and then you still have a very strong army. Plus, like, Golden Horde is very decent against thieves that are not very good at archer knights, and obviously Abbasid have a decent archer, very good archer, and normal knights. So I think this matchup is actually pretty good for Abbasid. I wanted to snipe it, and I think it depends on the map spawn and on the map. But on Illandale, most of the time you get a good spawn. So I felt like once I saw my spawn, I was like, yeah, that's good enough for a safe win in my opinion. And then he went for something very aggressive, and going very aggro against me rarely works, I think. So that went well for me.
Well said. You do seem to be the master of defense a lot of the time, and the spawn is true. Like that's kind of as good as it can possibly get, right? The 2 berries as well as the day in the corner. That is exactly what you want to see, especially as Abbasid. So that worked out there in the end, but obviously there was some fantastic execution from you in denying the outpost. So all's well that ends well there. And then it all culminated in another classic matchup here. Oh, let's have a look there at that.
She left me. She was not here with me tonight. Betrayal, right there. Yeah, that's the face of betrayal.
Yeah, you can see that she's slightly ashamed of herself, right? For leaving and doubting you.
Yeah, I fed her at like 7 PM and then she left me forever. That's terrible.
Oh,
but it's fine. I won.
Yeah, my cats do something similar. You feed them and then that's it. No more attention needed. It's how it goes, right? The price we pay for love. It's how it goes. But it all culminated in this, right? Mongols up against the Delhi on Frisian Marshes. Neither save is really a top tier pick here per se. I mean, they're good. They have good matchups, but facing each other, we haven't seen this for a little while. It used to be quite a common matchup back in the day when Mongols were slightly higher priority pick. But I feel like it gets very difficult for Mongols the deeper it goes in the feudal age because of the Delhi mass. Kashyyyks are better than Ghazis, but the mass is a problem here, right? But the tower strat it was very interesting here from Puppypaw, especially denying so much fishing. Was that a bit of a point of worry for you initially as to how you would follow up afterwards, or what Puppypaw would follow up with, or were you comfortable all the way throughout?
No, I don't think it was worse for him. I think if you just get your fishing ship back into the game eventually, you're gonna be ahead. So I think it's just a question of holding, and then you just make a lot of units. It's one of the matchup I wanted to like. I know he likes Mongols a lot on the hybrid, and I think Mongol is very strong, but I don't think it's matched very well against Delhi. So I don't really think Delhi is a very good pick here, but I think in this matchup it's very good. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I know. And that only gets harder as the game goes by. Or for the Mongols, it feels like, right? If they can't do anything in feudal. So it all worked out there in the end. And yeah, now she's happy. Now she's getting the attention she needs, and Dad won the game, right? So
Let's go. We did it.
And looking forward here, I mean, you're basically done for the better part of months now, right? In terms of pressure, at least in that regard. Obviously, practice is gonna continue, I'm sure. But now you're all set. That must feel very, very good. I do wonder, who do you see? Obviously, it's difficult to call, but if you had to sort of pick one player that you think will qualify next, that you believe in the most, who do you think it's gonna be? Gotta be Patat.
I think from what I've seen the last like 2 weeks, if I had to pick like today, the 4 players, I would say Vortex, Puppypaw, Anoton, and me. But I think Beastie is getting better. And yeah, I'm not sure. I would say it's between those 5 names, including me, that are the biggest chance. Wham is very weird because sometimes he's not doing very well and then he's doing very well. So I don't know. He's a little bit of a wild card. And Lucifro has not been doing too well, so I'm not sure about him. But yeah, I would say maybe like 6 favorites. And I would say Vortex, Anoton, and Puppypaw are the one I think will do well next week.
I don't want to quickly ask you about, because there was a bit of some surprise results yesterday, right? Notably Bolton, of course, knocking out Lucifron quite early, and then actually being 2-0 up against Puppypaw. That was looking very scary for a second. Yeah. Bolton, have you played much against him recently? Does he have the potential to keep going there, maybe do some even more upsets in these coming weeks? Or is that sort of, was it sort of the perfect storm for that to happen just this week?
I mean, he played well, so maybe we'll do decent, but I didn't play against him, so I don't know. Usually, I think when it comes to the underdogs under like the top 10, I think Nomoudan and Baltun are always very dangerous. We should never underestimate them. Maybe they will do bad and it will be fine, but sometimes they play very well and it's very hard even for the top players. So I think they are the 2 names that are very, very hard. And obviously you have other names that are doing pretty well, but I think those 2 are actually very solid and they just can beat you in a macro game, even though if you're a top player. So I think they are pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. They're normally the ones that really dance around that line of breaking into the very upper echelon, right?
Yep.
Where you veterans are. So excited to see what they do in the future. Maybe I'll join them soon enough if I can get the consistency down, eh?
Yeah, maybe. Who did you lose to this week?
This week I didn't qualify actually, unfortunately.
Okay,
but I'm first in line next week, so I'll be well. I won't be seeing you actually, but I'll be seeing.
I will be watching you.
It's Puppypaw, right? Oh, thank you.
I think the first week is fixed, but the second week is not going to be fixed. So it might be a little bit random.
Oh, yeah.
I think you might play against any top 4.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Hopefully we get confirmation soon so I can do some research. But yeah, MarineLorD, once again, thank you. And big congratulations. It was a great performance. Any other parting words here for EGC or for Chad that you'd like to say?
I mean, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting me, and hopefully I will win at Wololo. It's very sad I was not invited to the final, but I'm gonna make my spot myself. I will work for it.
Maybe next time, right? If you win this Red Bull, then surely because you won the last Red Bull, you can get invited to the next one, right? That's how it goes.
Plus I'm getting old, so it will be nice if they can help the old guy like me.
Yeah, it's true. There's a struggle, right? It's not like you've achieved enough so far, right? There needs to be even more.
And I enjoy casting so much right now, so I really like when I have the opportunity to cast. So qualifying this week is very nice to me. Like I'm very, very happy about it.
Fantastic. Well, MarineLorD, it's been very much a pleasure as always. Have a good night, have a good rest, and we'll be seeing you soon.
See you soon. Bye bye.